All right, welcome to Trendy Options. Going to look at ticker symbol TSLA. That was our second one that came in out of the four. You might get a little bit of bonus here at the end, and I may just give you Amazon and Netflix to top it off. So, welcome back. Let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm teaching you a little bit more than what you probably expected, but I just want to show you really quickly. Tesla was something a beautiful major in the room over the last several weeks and years that we have introduced, like the way that we use Fibonacci here in trendy options, but we've also talked about supply and demand. We have scripts. I mean, there's so many cool things going on in the room, and we have some amazing traders. The reason why I have to show this is because we had members follow this blueprint from the original video we put out 2 years ago, and I just want to go over it really quick. So the first thing first, without getting into too much detail and specifics, is our indicators, right? So we look, this is Tesla. I'm looking at a weekly. I'm looking at these green arrows. These are definitely points of interest for me. I can say, hey, when price leaves here, and you supply and demand traders know this, once price leaves here, we look for price to come back at some point, and then we look to get long. Okay, and so we talk more about this in detail in the room. It is part of the education process, and you can find that here. Price does pull back down into the arrow. Lo and behold, 152.34 pushes up to a certain level. We teach about that as well. We look to trim there, and price comes back down. And then we want to just be looking at these other levels of interest, right? And so we created this demand quite some time ago. And then as we move across here, we find there's other levels of demand, right? That come in right around in here to here. So now you have these two levels. 152.34 being something that served as a purpose way back in the day here. And you can see that all the way back in 2014-13. Okay, so price, leaves there. Oh, look at that, comes right back into demand. Look, guys, this is impromptu. Okay, so we teach this and how to find this stuff, and it works beautifully. We cross over our EMAs above the 55. We get above the cloud, look to go long. We create some more, and now where are we today on Tesla? We are at all-time highs. Everybody's looking for 420. This thing actually reached up into and close to 500 level. But the question is, where do we go next, right? Nobody knows, but the best way to approach this is if this, then that. And we're going to help teach that and show you. So what can I expect into this week? Right now, weekly ATR sitting around 31.54. It's of no consequence. Look at this weekly, yearly, monthly. We all know that. It's extreme bullish. Now, these indicators are set up to my methodology, so these names come off of what I look for in trend. First thing I'm going to note here is this nice extension out of this level here. Note the green arrow there. All right, price did come back into this area or zone. We pushed up from there, making higher highs over this level here. We get over what we call the trendy edges in this area. And I want to look at the most recent trend. Now, this thing is just a rocket, right? So I'm going to do a couple things here. Right here, I'm going to use this trend. Okay, I'm going to note the 23.6 here. This is important. If this is going to remain bullish, it will go bid in that area. That's at 456.18. Look at the spread between 478.15. That's pretty big, right? I'm not going to put a stop there. But this is the bigger picture. So I just want you to understand. Because I use that former trend, I'm going to go ahead and go in here. I'm going to go right here where the rally starts. I'm going to go up to that pivot high. I'm going to use the 23.6, and I'm going to get myself some more targets into blue sky breakout. We talked about this in the SPY. So we got some targets now, 537 to 562. This is again using a weekly time frame. Let's go ahead before we get started and look at the monthly. Very important, kind of see how this is going as well. Just look at the formations. You know, Nice, right? Now this is going to close out at the end of the month. We still have quite some time here. Many things can happen. We could get a topping wick, and all of a sudden, we have a base candle, an anti-candle back down at our trendy edge here around 406. Okay. Now, if that were to happen, this would set up for a really nice buy or give us that if this, then that. So what I mean by that, price could move down into here, and we could get that really nice move, or we use this as a line in the sand and we look to go short off of this and then into these areas within here. All right, but without going too much in depth, those are the things I'd be looking at on a big pullback. Now let's go back into the day. Okay, we've already looked at the weekly, we looked at the monthly. So what do you have here? You have 2 days down. Now, what do we look for in really strong stocks, right? We look for 2 to 3 down days, typically, and a very strong trend. Look, down, down. Okay, I mean, look at this, right? And these aren't even like really down if you look at them like that. But just look, it's very rare right now. But we got 2 days down, 2 days down. Here's another example right here. Sorry, I want to point with arrows and so forth, just in case you can't see my cursor. Okay, a couple days down here, some sideways action, and then boom, up, right? So we're bringing this down. I want to be looking on a daily and seeing if there's anything of significance. Like you could point out right here that we have a gap fill around 451.60. And so if price wanted to continue down, we'd be looking at the 9 EMA and having the idea that price could come into this gap fill. Notice this 456 was something important as well. Notice I didn't see this on the weekly, but you start to see confluence here when you're using the right technical analysis. So that 456.18 is lined up with my 9 EMA. If price wants to pull down, what are we looking for into this week? Let's zoom in here. So I want to see, can we close under here on a day candle, kind of like what I was showing you on the SPY. So if we close down under here, things start to look a little bit different. We probably get a retest, right? It gets all those who try to go short, it gets them out on that next day. And then the follow through comes down on that lower low, and then we're looking for that move, possibly into the level I gave you. Okay, 456.18 to possibly the gap fill that's right around here, which is not much further underneath there, really, right? So 451, in that area, let's just call it 452. All right, so those are the levels I'm looking for the downside. Now to the upside, what do we need, right? What do we need in order for this to turn around for us? Now, you need to be patient because really at the end of the day, if you did not get any of this and you're just looking to pounce or get onto this trend, be careful. All right. You could be using the previous day's base, okay, for an intraday trade. This is something, first of all, for me, this is something I'd rather intraday trade. I'm not willing to really look for a swing trade unless it gets further down into the gap fill or some demand that I find to take the trade. All right. So let's use the most recent trend. You can see it right here on the daily. All right, and I'm going to set this up. I want to be over this base candle, and I'm going to use the bottom here of that day trade or of Friday. I apologize. And this is just from an intraday perspective. So coming into tomorrow, if we could stay within this 472 to 482, I'd like to see price just push down, go bid. And if we get back above the previous base candle, I want to ride this up into targets. Now in the room, I'll be giving those targets out. They're pretty straightforward though. We can use some Fibonacci here. Let me just kind of show you really quick. We can take this high, take this low, okay, if we get over that base, this will give you some good targets just to get into. You could use the 50, and then you're going to use the 61.8. Okay, these are two nice targets that you can use. Anything above that is going to be a little bit extra for right now. As my kids would say, Dad, you're so extra, right? So there's that. And those are going to be your targets to the upside. So whatever happens in this region, is just kind of a neutral standpoint. Because remember, on the weekly, I want to be seeing closes underneath here for this. And here, I really don't care what happens. I don't want to be caught up in this mess. So I would much rather see a close outside of this, okay, just like this. And you start to get that rounding effect, or I call it the hook. Nice base, look for those higher highs, take the trade, looking for targets 488, 492. If it keeps going with momentum, obviously you can come in here and look for that double top action, something like this, back down, right? And then possibly a nice little cup and handle off of the daily. Okay. All right, so that's what I'm looking for on Tesla to make this very straightforward. We could take this. Let's just make this, you know, do a green right there. I'm going to go ahead and put in here entry. And I want that to show up so I don't forget. You can also, like for me, I'll put alerts in there. And right here where it says do not show, put on the right. And there it is, entry. And then this right here could be possibly, okay, you can make this red. This is just me. Again, this is just all my opinion, okay? And then I could say close under look at short. Okay, and then really we need to then check and see, can I get it in there? Okay, and then on the right. Boom, there it is right there. So nice reminder, this also could just be looked at as a neutral zone. So you could put in here neutral. Okay, it's very wide. Understand that, 482 to 470, 472, but not too wide considering it's Tesla and it's moving 30 points. All right, so not too bad. I'm taking about 30% of that move right there. Anything below that, again, look for targets down here. You could use these wicks as targets, 468.40, this base 461, and then finally 456, and then possibly the gap fill of 451.68. This is the setup I'm looking for at Tesla. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Check us out at trendyoptions.com, where we do teach the methodology that has proven to be very well driven, very nice profits. Our one main focus here, folks, is money management, not home runs. This is not a gambling room. If you're into just straight gambling, we're probably not the room for you. If you want to come and learn about education and methodology, methodical and sequential trading, we are very process driven, and that's what I'm here to teach. The second thing is, let's go ahead and give you a little bit of bonus. I'm going to do this just really quick. I'm going to do Amazon here. Boom. Amazon. I've already had this out because this is actually something we're looking at in the room for a swing. So what I'm looking for is it's at my trendy edge. It's come back. You can see that there's confluence here with a 9 EMA that is holding. And if we can hold and start to round out here, this is very important. So let me just go ahead and teach this really quick. If we were to flush, okay, this is a candle. I like the flush. So what you're doing is you're taking out all these people trying to put stops underneath a typical moving average at the 9. Let them get flush. I call this a flush flow. And then on a reclaim, price comes back up. Everyone that got flushed out is really angry. And then the candle actually ends up closing here. What I'm looking for on that next day is a nice base, a rounding out formation, looking to take this trade to the upside. Again, targets to the upside would be 1910. Over this double top of 1917 starts to accelerate. Overall, I'm still looking for 1970, but coming into earnings, we'll see what's going to happen. Nice sideways action here. There is a higher high here on the daily. There are higher lows on, well, really, if you go back the last two pivot points, it's actually a lower low, okay, and a lower high. So it's starting to downtrend just a tad. Let's look at it from a weekly really quick. Okay, so nice formation here as well. We need that higher high above that middle candle. Pretty much puts you at that 1910 level and above 1970. We do have supply in there. Okay, please understand that. Let's go back to the daily so you can understand what's going on underneath here. Now, if we start to close out underneath the 9, like the day closes, let it pop back up into the trendy edge. And if it makes a lower low off that, looking for a short into 1860, or as you could say, the origin of this candle. Anything below that would be a gap fill. This kind of reminds me of what we were just looking at on Tesla, around 1848 level. All right, but nice demand in here. Um, Anything under this formation, folks, you're looking at coming back down here into the 1800 level to 1794. That's Amazon. Let's look at Netflix real quick. I don't have Netflix charted, so this might take just a second, but bear with me. All right, and okay, right at the trendy edge, let's look to the left. Okay, let's look at the weekly. We need something a little bit bigger here. All right, there we go. So we are above the EMAs. That's the first thing I want to note when I'm looking at something. On the neutral candles, we have went neutral to green. We pulled back a couple weeks. I guess this was one of our targets down here to the downside. It is holding so far at 323. Let's see if we can get over the base of that candle. This edge right here still is going to serve as resistance, folks. So it depends on your risk to reward scenario. Price at 329. If it were start to round out, I'm looking for 332. Matter of fact, the bigger trade for me is if we can hold over that 332 level. That's going to be my entry to the upside. Let's go ahead and put that on there. And this is really, we try to make this as simple as possible. Entry, we wait. And price gets there, and then we look to enter. We can front run. We can add a couple contracts. If it works, then it works. But we like to start off slow so that if we're wrong, it's not going to hurt you as much. And then on confirmation, we'll add into the trade. That's actually worked very well over the last week or so. So and since we started, but I'm saying this last week, it was really nice to add into positions as we got more confident. So entry there, and then you're going to notice we have what's called an accelerator and a decelerator. For me, my stop is about risk to reward. In this case, to the upside, I want to be seeing the top of this wick as a target. It's going to give me 342 from 332, not bad for 10 bucks. And then upwards from this rounding formation, we would have more targets up here, but I won't talk about those until price can get over that level. And then here, if we were to break down for some reason, again, on the other side of things, I'm not really looking to get short unless it gets underneath the accelerator. This does, however, create a really big spread here. That accelerator is around 320.44, 320.45 right there. All right, and you can see that's like $12. Now I know that sounds crazy, right? It's like, well, when would you ever end up taking the trade? I'm telling you from experience, the easier trade for me is outside of those levels. I do not want to be caught with price going sideways. It's just not fun for me because I'm teaching, I'm moderating, and so forth. And so what I have found, right, is that the easier trade is outside of the chop zones. I don't want to be messing around in the middle of this crap, right? So, anyways, let me put the notes in here. Look to short under. There are formations and things we teach in here that we really get the confirmation on the shorts. And again, we teach that in the room. So let's look here on the right. Boom. There you go. So this is kind of a neutral zone, per se. Um, Go too short. We're going to put the word neutral in here just as a reminder. Now, don't get me wrong. After looking at all my analysis, we do trade within the neutral zones on an intraday perspective, but I'm not here teaching that. I'm giving you the bigger look into these names that I've shared with you: SPY, Amazon, Netflix. Okay, so we got all of those. Okay, and this Amazon was somebody that had asked for Amazon. I like Amazon, so I thought I would throw it out there. Now Baba's not, not too many people want to see Baba, so I'm not going to chart that. Baba is actually a position that we had on Friday. We added into and then was able to trim out of that position as well for profits. All right, so this is the setup here. If we start to break down what do I want to be looking for, I'm going to go into that 311 area. That's going to be my decelerator, and we're just going to come up about right there, about 311.80. Again, risk to reward looks really nice here. You can use these lines as stops if you wanted to. There's a different approach to each one of these. There's nice setups. Overall, what I see when I'm looking at Netflix, you have lower highs, higher lows. This is the bigger picture. We could do trend lines on here if you want to. You could do, your trend line from here, from demand. You can see it there. Looks like something like that. Looks like, it's kind of range bound. So again, I don't want to be caught in here if price is just kind of doing this, and then pop. The easier trade, or down, the easier trade. Okay, so that's what it all comes down to. That's my analysis on Netflix. I really hope you all enjoyed the analysis on this. And again, if you're interested, come check us out at trendyoptions.com. Have a nice day.